Welcome to another episode of Badass Banking. And today I've got a special guest. I say they're all special guests, just so you know, Ryan. His name is Ryan Harvey. Ryan, how are you today?
Doing great, Brian. How are you?
You know, and I pronounce your name Harvey all the time. It's Harbry,
Yeah, it's a common mistake.
H-A-R-B-R-Y, B-R-Y like in Brian. Ryan like in Brian, too.
Been happening my whole life, and here you go. This is the first time you said it. It's right here live over the web.
Yeah, live over the web. Well, we're not really live. I mean, we're live right now, but we're recording this. So right before this, you don't know this yet because I haven't edited it yet, but the people watching this will know it. There'll be a picture of you on a diving board because of your diving background in college. And there's going to be a bonus video at the end, which is you doing something that you have to do every day as a sales guy, and that is doing a flip. You're always flipping, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that I got you those, and I couldn't give you some more videos from back in my heyday. So when I was in college diving, it was before the internet. I mean, not before the internet, but it certainly was before iPhones, and so I don't have much recording. So what that video was probably about 3 years ago. It was the first time I'd been on a diving board in I think like 13 years. So I busted out at 2.5. But back in my heyday, I did things a little bit more impressive than that. But I'm glad to give you a little video there.
It's a good video. I've seen many. You've done them for the team at Strategy Core, which is kind of neat. So you're with Strategy Core today. You're a regional director of sales, and you've got a good hunk of the South, if not all of it, and a little piece of the Mid-Atlantic, which includes my turf, which is Virginia. And you've been in the banking space a long time. I was looking at you and I have worked together, so I know a little about you. So we've got Deluxe, Fiserv, Equifax. So really pretty much since you graduated from the University of Louisiana at Monroe, you've been selling to the banking industry. So what have you seen change over the last couple of years as you've continued to work with financial services execs?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much has changed. There's been changes in the industry. There's been changes in the need for technology. There's been regulatory changes. If there's one thing that has stayed the same over the last, 12 years, it's been an extremely low rate environment. But oh my gosh, there's been so much changing. And like you mentioned, I've been working with community banks for about 14 years, and I love working with them. I really feel a sense of advocacy in my work, trying to help give them tools and weapons, not only to compete with the big boys, but also to compete within their existing customer base or membership. Because as you know, every financial institution has a large segment of their customer base or members who are just cheating on them with other financial institutions. So they got to compete with other institutions. They also, in some regard, have to compete with their own customer base or membership. So I love giving them tools and weapons and information in order to go about doing that. And yeah, I mean, like I said, relating to the changes, there really has just been so much technology pressure, compliance pressure, and so it's been fun. I have this kind of dystopian, nightmare, where I kind of fear that the community banking space is just going to go away, and that everything is just going to be consolidated to a few institutions on the national level. So working with community banks, advocating for them, it's been a great joy.
Yeah, and it's the community bankers and some of the credit unions are really shining right now in light of what's going on. There's a lot of people in need, a lot of business in need, and obviously you and I followed the Jill Castilla, Mark Cuban story with the PPP loans. I mean, that's just a fantastic story. The story with Incredible Bank, what they've been doing. Some of the other, neo banks and bankers banks that are really, stepping up to the plate. I mean, it's good to see. I think that the community banking industry, and I'll include some of the credit unions in that, I think they're, hitting their stride right now. So, I mean, you've got this broad experience in selling financial services, and if you could give a financial services sales exec, okay, someone like you that's selling, it could be a competitor, it could be someone working for, Temenos or somebody working Deluxe. in your mind, what is the mistake that sales execs like you sometimes do? Now, you never make mistakes. I know that, right? But
I've only
what
made
are the
one.
mistakes?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I guess it's common that you got to go in there, and a lot of sales executives rather will go in there and they'll push a product rather than going in there and being truly inquisitive about the goals and objectives that the executives in their institution are trying to do. Um, Community banks are just very different in their needs. I mean, certainly there is some common threads, right? So as you know, I'm in sales, I'm also in consulting. And so you got to know the industry, you got to know bank strategy. And if you don't know bank strategy and all its nuances, you're not going to be able to question right. And if you're not be able to question right, you're not going to be able to find exactly what they're trying to do, or maybe find those places that they're discontented with. And if you can go in there and you can find what they're trying to accomplish, whether it's deposits or revenue or loans, or to differentiate or to attract more members or customers, or to get better at the sales process, if you don't have really sharp questioning, you're not going to be able to uncover those threads of discontent. You're not going to be able to help them with their strategic growth. And ultimately, you're not going to be able to form the relationships needed in order to continue the conversation and promote the partnership. So I think that, certainly you got to, have a sexy and attractive product or solution, right? And that's what I love about working with Strategy Core, is we do really have an exciting solution. But also for people in my shoes who are sales and consultant, I mean, you got to have the robust knowledge of the industry, how banks make money, the strategy, who they're competing against, in order to have those nuanced conversations, in order to try to help with that growth, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I've kind of observed you over the last year and how you kind of approach things. And number one, you're really good at listening. Number two, you're really good at asking those questions. And number three, and probably most importantly,
Could you tell my wife that, Brian?
No, because then my wife
No,
will start talking. Once the wives start talking, that's it, because we know we answer to them.
absolutely.
But number three, you understand that value of the relationship. And I mentioned last week when I had Tammy on from Temenos, we talked about a guy named Ted Rubin. You need to follow him. He has this strategy, which is return on relationships. And that is that the time and energy that you put into building relationships today over time will pay a return. And you get that, sales cycles in the financial services industry. And if anyone out there is new at selling in the banking space or credit union space, it takes a while to make decisions. Some of these decisions are made by committee, and there are a lot of ramifications of these decisions. And you touched upon some regulatory compliance. Compliance sometimes gets in the way of a lot of things. So it takes a while. It's a long sales cycle, and you as a sales rep need to take advantage of that time to get closer to your audience and to get to know those people and their points of pain more. The other thing, that I think is interesting about you, Ryan, is you've just broken into the social media world, right? You're kind of new at it. You're now all of a sudden kind of a little mini social media star.
Oh, I don't know about star. Me and I think 135 followers or something like that. But yeah, whenever the coronavirus hit and a lot of conversations got ground to a halt, I was just trying to develop my own personal brand. So while I've had some social media accounts, I just recently have decided to lean into it. Number one, in order to promote my personal brand, and then number two, in order to just have that be a canvas in order to get out some ideas. And because relating to ideas, you never exactly know what sticks until you communicate them. And so just getting some ideas out there has been really helpful to me. And I love bank strategy. I just love strategy in general. But my passion in terms of my career is with the financial industry and banks and credit unions. And so I've taken a great interest in them as a whole. And so there's so many different parts to it. Like I said, there's interest income, non-interest income. There's the acquisition standpoint. There's trying to create deep and engaged relationships, because community banks and credit unions, they have this challenge where not every customer is a good customer, right? They can have unprofitable relationships. And that the path to profitability for one of their relationships can come through a number of ways. They can be profitable through their deposits or their loans or their overdraft behavior or how many times they're swiping their debit card or a combination of all the above. And so understanding the customers, the path to profitability in order to help them. We work with banks on products, so and helping them design products in order to encourage profitability, but also to educate the banks that, hey, you need to, concern yourself not only with acquisition, but also with winning primary relationships, creating those deep and engaged customers or members. And so for me, Twitter has been a place where I can just get some ideas out there, be silly. And it's been a lot of fun. I don't think I'm going to get famous tweeting about community banks or anything. I don't think I'm going to have a huge flock of millions of followers, but I do enjoy the dialogue that I've been able to have with a few key people who are interested in these things like I am and like you are. So I'm new to the game. I don't plan to go anywhere. So you can, if you give me a follow, you'll find some of the things that I'm talking about relating to bank strategy or just overall.
And I'll put your Twitter handle in the comments below, or put it on the screen. I don't know yet. I'm still learning how to edit on this, and I still kind of suck at it, dude. So it's new. You're not going to get famous from this broadcast, by the way. I mean, maybe a little bit, but yeah. I mean, what I like is that your content is about points of pain in the industry, and it's conversational in style, and that's the advice I've always given people on social media. This is about a dialogue and a conversation and discussion, and it's about also some mutual respect. You can disagree, but there's a proper way to disagree. This is not a place to attack people, and you can see the difference between those that are good at this and those that frankly kind of suck at it, right? So
absolutely, yeah. Well, I think that what our culture needs to a large extent is people who are willing to disagree, right?
Yeah.
And if you're willing to disagree, I mean, I think we need more of that kind of thing. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and we'll learn about, if we all had the same views, think how boring it would be. I'm glad that we've got so much diversity in thought, and we should. There's nothing wrong with challenging each other, but do it in a respectful manner.
Absolutely.
So one more question. What's something that people outside of your circle need to know about you, but they don't know?
Let's see. I once danced with Bill Murray.
You once danced with? All right.
Believe it or not.
I'd love to see a photo of that, because last week we had Flavor Fave was entertained by Tammy on a stage, I think at a Jack Henry show. So you got a photo to prove that? I mean, I love Bill Murray.
Dig it up. I'll see if I can dig it up. So here's the. So I have a friend, and she's a filmer. She films and works cameras for Hollywood. And I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and Atlanta has become a huge hub for the movie industry and for filming. Well, anyways, she was working on a movie, and at the end of whenever a movie completes, they do what's called a wrap party. Have you ever heard of a wrap party?
Yep.
So they were doing a wrap party at a restaurant/venue in Midtown, and my friend, she said, "Hey, you got to come to this wrap party. I'll give you a special invitation. Bill Murray's going to be there." And so they had this, the wine and the cocktails were flowing, and then they had this huge dance floor, and they had a DJ, and the whole place was dancing, and Bill Murray was out there on the dance floor. He was, women were like going into his arms. He was twirling them around, and he was every bit as much of a character as you would expect. So when he was dancing, I actually went out to the dance floor and just kind of stood next to him, and I had somebody take a picture of that. So I did at one point in my life dance with Bill Murray. It was more that I danced on the same dance floor as Bill Murray. So that's one thing that I would say that people need to know about me. Other than that, I'm an avid runner. I'm an avid reader, particularly literature and sales books and things of that nature. But those would be a couple insights into the secret life of Ryan Hargreave.
And most importantly, you're a great guy. I've just, in the short time I've known you, I've only known you a year. You're just a great guy. One of the best sales guys I know, because you're genuine, you're authentic, and that's important to your personal brand. And I think that's important for all your prospects to understand.
Well, cheers. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So anyway, that wraps up another episode of Badass Banking. This was Ryan Harbree, B-R-Y at the end. Make sure you watch this video at the very end because he's going to do a flip for you standing still. And he's going to land kind of on his 2 feet. I don't know if I could do that. Well, I know I can't. It'd be really
I'll teach you,
fun to
Brian.
watch me try. Yeah, dream on. So anyway, I appreciate you being on, Ryan. Any last words?
No, man. Thanks a lot. Keep doing what you're doing. I love the conversation that you're generating in the industry.
That's what it's about. So like, subscribe, comment, dislike. This is all about engagement. That's what I stand for. That's what this industry needs. Thanks for being on, Ryan.
Thank you.